So here's the truth. Your job posting isn't just a job description. It's the very first sales pitch to the people who are going to make or break your business. But here's what most business owners and hiring officials get wrong. They write job ads like they're filling out a government form. Boring, checklist-driven, and completely unforgettable. And then we wonder why the wrong candidates apply, or worse, why the right ones scroll right past. So in this episode, I'm going to show you why your job postings aren't working, how to turn them into a magnetic invitation that attract people who don't just want a paycheck, they want to join your mission. And if you're tired of wasting time sifting through all of those resumes that don't fit, make sure you stick around, because this might be the fix that you've been looking for. This is the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast, and I am your host, John Espinosa. I help business owners hire and retain top talent, and we do that through building high-performance teams. And that starts with job postings. So in this episode, we're going to discuss why your job postings don't work. And then I'm going to give you some practical ways to fix them. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here, and most people, it just surprises me. And if you're out there, I'm sorry. I was one of those business owners who had a reoccurring, just running job posting. So most postings are like a checklist. They have all the duties that people are going to perform. It reads really like a to-do list. And then you're going to end it with, these are the requirements. And then you may get a button at the bottom that says apply. Boring, blah, bland. And we wonder why we're getting all of these people who aren't the right fit applying for our open positions. Mission-driven candidates, they want to know why it matters. And if your job posting is more of a checklist, more of a government form, like you're filling out your taxes, that's who you're going to get. You're going to get somebody who is just checking the boxes. Name, address, location, high school diploma, college education. Does that sound like your job postings? If it does, you're going to want to continue to listen to this episode. So what's an application? I'm all about giving you practical applications that you can go and fix these issues, because I've been there. I've done that. I've gotten several resumes and I had to weed through them to figure out who to interview, and then nobody really I wanted to interview, but I needed somebody. So then I get into the interviews, which takes more time, and I end up hiring somebody that really shouldn't be there in the first place. So I want you to take a look at your job postings. Pull them up, get them out, dust them off if you have to, and I want you to look at the first 3 sentences. And as I was journaling this morning, I wrote down, your job posting again needs to describe the mission. So here's why the role exists. This is why the job itself became to be, and then how it makes a difference. So remember, you're selling a mission, not a task. Today, Paycom, big company, just laid off like 500 people here in Oklahoma. And why did they do it? They did it because of AI. People out there, they're afraid. They're to apply for jobs. And that's why it's important for you to describe the mission of your business, of your organization, and why you're looking to hire somebody, what it really, why the role exists. Not that these are the things that you have to meet, apply. Do you see the difference? You're getting quality people that are willing to take the time to, 1, read the announcement, and then 2, find a connection there. You may still get some of those box checkers. I'm not saying that this is going to totally weed out all of those bad applicants, but what it will allow you to do is when you get to the resume review, you're going to be able to quickly differentiate the box checkers from the ones that really want to be and work in your organization. So that's the first topic. If you like what you hear, do me a favor, click on that subscribe button. Share it with somebody. These techniques, they work. I've worked with organizations. I've used them in my own teams, in my own businesses. I promise you, just implement one. Don't think about it. Turn one day into day one. So we've made the shift from just listing tasks to selling our mission. But now we got to talk about our culture. And we don't want to do it in a way where we oversell it or we just miss it altogether in the job announcement. So this next one, why your job posting isn't working, your culture is invisible. You're not including the most important piece of why somebody would want to come work for your organization, for your business. And candidates want to feel personality. They want to feel that connection right off the bat, and it starts with the job posting. They don't want just some corporate speak, some boilerplate announcement that you got on, or wording that you have on all of your announcements. I used to do that. It used to be a copy and paste for me. Why? Because that was the lowest thing on my to-do list or priority list. And so I'd get the job posting out there just to get people in the door, and then I'd have to spend time interviewing them again, or weeding through the resumes, or putting together a panel to interview them. Instead, I learned just take the time and do the work up front. Everyone, a quick break in the episode today. Are you struggling to find and keep the right employees? You're not alone. High turnover drains time, money, and morale, leaving us frustrated, overwhelmed, and feeling like we have to settle for less. I understand how tough hiring can be because I've lived it. And with over 21 years of building high-performance teams, I know how to turn hiring challenges into lasting employee success. Through my proven lead framework, we're going to analyze your processes, design a personalized strategy, and implement solutions that create confident and long-term results. Don't let turnover hold you back. Choosing this program is that first step towards a thriving workplace. Enroll today at thejohnespinosa.com and build the team you deserve. Imagine a team that works seamlessly together, or keep facing the same costly cycle of turnover. The choice is yours. Now back to our episode. The other thing is important when we're talking about our culture in the posting itself is to use plain language. And that plain language needs to reflect our own voice, especially if you're a small business owner or you're a business owner of any size company. It needs to reflect your voice. It doesn't need to be, again, a bunch of jargon, a bunch of corporate speak. Tell people what they are getting ready to be a part of, and then allow them to choose whether they want to apply or not. So one thing, the application here that I want all of you to take away from this is, I call it a cultural snapshot. And this is important to include in your job posting. And you can use these exact words here. I'm getting ready to just begin to write them down. Here's what it feels like to work here, ... Here's what it feels like to work here. This is an engaging team that's full of high performers in a fast-paced environment, a marketing environment, a sales environment, whatever environment or business training environment. And we are looking for the most qualified individuals to come be a part of that mission. That's it. Simple, 2 to 3 words. Don't overthink this. But including that in your job posting is going to allow the individual a sense of, hey, this is why, one, in the first part, we talked about selling the mission. So this is why the job exists. And then this is what our culture is all about. Do you still want to apply? Provoke them. Entice them to apply to your business. It's going to help you weed out all of the box checkers. Those people are just hiring applications because their mom, their grandma, their uncle, whoever, their significant other said, you better go apply for 10 jobs today. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to have that person who's applying for 10 jobs and me be the 10th application. And now I may or may not interview him, or I have to review it to weed him out. That's not who I want applying for my job. So remember, don't make your culture invisible. And then the last point we're going to talk about why your job posting don't work or isn't working is your call to action is weak or it's completely missing altogether. So John, what's a call to action? A call to action is, I learned about it first when I worked with a marketing agency, and they call it was the closer. I always called it the closing statement or something to get people to move to action, right? Well, that's what a call to action is. You see it a lot in the marketing. So here, and how it applies to jobs is, does your posting end with just a simple button that says apply now? And it's a red button at the very end. They click it and then the application pulls up, whether it's a digital application or it's something that they have to download, or they're coming in to the business and you're just handing them tearing off a sheet, an application that, again, checks all the boxes. Who are your references? What's your job history? That sort of thing. We've all been there and done that. I applied for many jobs on those tear-off applications that you fill out right there, and then hand back in. Somebody takes a look at it and says, yeah, I'll get back to you. Or, you want a job? That was how I got my first job. Bussing tables on Valentine's Day, 15 and a half years old. That's how I started my working career. Went in, applied, got a job. After I'd already been turned down from a marketing job, like a telecommunication cold calling job. That was the other thing. Filled out an application, walked in. They observed me doing a call. They were like, yeah, you're not cut out for this. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. So, does your posting end with apply now? The other thing, top talent needs more motivation and they need more clarity than just an apply now button. And make your CTA, your call to action, personal. And we're going to talk about an application that I'll give you here in a little bit to make those call to actions more personal. And then what is the next step? What are they going to gain by applying for your job position? And back to the conversation that I had earlier after the restaurant business, I applied for several positions. I was thinking about getting into the medical field, right? So I wanted to get a career in the medical field. And one of the things that I can remember this vividly, I walked in. It was the charge nurse at that time. I filled out the application. I handed it in. And she said, why do you want to work here? This is a fast pace. It was in an emergency room, long hours, 12-hour shifts. She laid it all on the table, almost like they were trying to scare me away. And then she said, this is what you will gain, though. You're going to gain decision-making skills. You're going to gain experience in the medical field, which that's what I wanted. She read that on the application. She knew I wanted to go to medical school. And then she said, you're also going to be able to learn how to perform in high-stress situations. We're going to get people's worst day that walk in the door, and you're going to need to calm them down. You're going to need to calm yourself down so that way you can address whatever the situation may be. And I'm still getting goosebumps because I would run through a brick wall for her after she told me that. And why? Because she made it personable. She told me about the culture, and then she allowed me to see myself fitting in that culture. And that was one of the most hardest, probably most rewarding interviews that I've been through so far. But it's memorable because of the way that the job posting was, really my desire to get in the medical field. And then in the end, the interviewer laying it all on the line, me answering the questions, and then her building up that culture and allowing me, really, she closed the deal with a strong call to action. So what do you need? Here's the application for this last one. Your call to action, remember, is weak or missing. That's why your job postings are failing. Ready to use your skills to make a real difference. Click here to apply to start the conversation. Whoa. Now think about that. Click here to apply, or are you ready to use your skills to make a real difference? Click here to start a conversation. Two different thoughts, two totally different call to actions, but what a big difference in your application. So remember again that job postings shouldn't just be a dusty HR requirement. They should almost be a sales pitch. They should be a sales pitch for people to apply that are out there that want to become part of something new. And it's important for us as business owners, as leaders, as hiring managers out there who have just this reoccurring job posting to pull that thing down, take a look at it, apply these 3 principles. Remember, sell your mission. Let people know what the job does, why it exists. Then, explain your culture. Remember, cultural snapshot. Here's what it feels like to work here. And then last but not least, have a strong call to action. Are you ready to use your skills to make a big difference in this world? Job postings, circle back to my first part. And again, if you're listening this far into it, I hope that this is valuable. Thank you very much. It means a lot. But job postings are our front door. The reason I was getting poor applicants wasn't because my job was bad. I wasn't paying well. It was because my posting was bad. The wording was bad. I wasn't fully explaining what needed to be done, what I was looking for, and the experience, the team, the culture that we had created for people to come be a part of. Try it on, implement these 3 strategies, because again, if your job posting is bad, that's who you're letting in. You're letting in those bad applicants. Refine that job posting, make that front door almost welcoming to the point where people are knocking on that door even after hours. Then you're going to start to see the real benefits of refining these job postings. Let me know if this episode helped. Leave a comment below. Click on the show notes below to get sent right directly to your email to get these practical tips and an overview of the lesson we talked about today. I believe in you. Go be great. Talk to you on the next episode.